So a couple weeks ago, I did a video about Disney crossovers and the universe they unintentionally created. Kind of just around the shows that I had watched as a kid because I didn't really feel qualified to talk about shows that I'd never seen before. But my comments just weren't happy with that and decided to tell me that I'd forgotten about like all of them. So we're doing it again, but bigger, because this board is not going to be enough. There we go. We're gonna go find a board somewhere, I think, probably. I don't know where. IKEA's a very big store. Workspaces. That's where I'm going. Oh, I found it. I found a new board, a bigger board, a better board. We did it. We got the bigger board. Honestly, the hardest part about making that video is that there's no concise list of every Disney Channel crossover ever made. Like, there is not one online. I couldn't find any. I looked everywhere. There's like a wiki page about it, and the best thing I could find was the It's a Laugh Productions Wikipedia page, which had a list of the crossovers they made as a production company. Those were like the only two lists I could find, and they had contrasting information, and there was also like fake Disney Channel crossovers that have wiki pages online, like Sunny with a Chance on Deck with this very legit looking poster. Like, I definitely believe this. It got 14 million views opening night. I can't believe I never heard of that. But fortunately, by making this video, I think unintentionally my audience has created the first ever concise list of Disney Channel crossovers. And now, using my comments, I'm going to finally show what this expanded universe looks like. And I'm already tired, I'm not gonna lie to you. Some might say I need a break. An ad break. Yes, I actually got a sponsor this time, guys. I want to give a huge thank you to Wondershare Demo Creator, which is just the perfect editing app for beginners. And I say for beginners because it's a very intuitive app to use, but it's still got very advanced features. One of them being this new virtual presenter feature. Like, look at this. They made me an animated character that can, like, repeat my action. This is cool.
What is this voice you're doing?
I'm an animated character.
And I think this is such a cool feature because it means that you don't have to have an expensive camera. You could film videos on your webcam and just use your personal avatar to present your video. Like, this is great for someone who can't afford a camera or just isn't comfortable showing their face online. This is a really cool feature, and they also have green screen effects. Right now, I'm just standing in front of a green screen, but using Wondershare, I can turn this green cloth into whatever I want. Oh my god, I'm in front of a volcano, and now it's a waterfall, and now Vegard is standing. What are you doing there, Vegard? And obviously, the thing that makes Wondershare Demo Creator stand out among the crowd is it's just such a great budget option. I mean, there's literally a free-to-try version of Demo Creator. It does have a watermark on it, though, but the annual plan really doesn't cost that much. So if this sounds of any interest to you, make sure to check out Wondershare, linked in the description down below, available on Windows and Mac. Any support would help out the channel a lot. Long story short, I've just spent another month watching Disney Channel shows. Also, today I have brought in a professional conspiracy board pinner person, because I can't do that anymore. So yeah, let's just cover. I feel like it's worse that if you don't say anything, if you just stand there silently doing my bidding. So the first crossover was That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana, and the shows crossed over.
There's crossovers in this?
So that's the first connection. Then they made a crossover between the spin-off show to Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Sweet Life on Deck, with Wizards of Waverly Place and, again, Hannah Montana. The next crossover was then between Good Luck Charlie and Shake It Up.
I'm actually doing something with the pins being the correct color. Do you see that? Those three.
Oh, nice! Yo, look at that attention to detail from Vegard. Then Good Luck Charlie crossed over with Jessie, and Jessie crossed over with Austin and Ally, making another set of 4 things that were connected. Then finally, the spin-off show to Jessie, Bunked, connects to Raven's Home, which is the spin-off show to That's So Raven, connecting everything. And also Jessie connects to Sweet Life on Deck through a crossover between Mr. Mosby and Jessie in that show.
First stabbing.
I didn't even dawn what you said there.
Yeah.
So this was what I covered first time round. We've got all these shows connected, and when I tell you there's a whole lot more, I'm telling the truth. because that would be a weird thing to lie about. I know. So upon making this, the vast majority of comments pointed out to me that I had just completely excluded the big Halloween crossover from 2015, which, for the record, I was aware existed. I just did not want to watch 7 episodes, mostly from shows that I had never even heard of before. But today, we are going to cover these episodes because that connects about 5 more Disney Channel shows to this whole thing. So the way this crossover works is that each of the shows has a normal episode where a couple of the characters from the episode go to this party in Central Park called Spooktober. I think that's what it's called. Sounds like something Disney Channel would call it. Regardless of how far they have to travel for this party, some of the characters teleport there, starting with I Didn't Do It. And it's just a normal episode of Jessie where they meet 2 of the characters from I Didn't Do It at this party. Then you have the I Didn't Do It episode where they crossed over with Austin and Ally. So that's actually quite an easy little connection there.
I'm struggling.
And then Austin and Ally crossed over with Casey Undercover. So now Zendaya is officially on the board twice as well. So I guess you didn't make as much Disney Channel history as you thought, Debbie Ryan. And you know what Casey Undercover crossed over with?
Girl Meets World.
No, Jessie. Next up, we can add Girl Meets World onto the board because that also crosses over with Austin and Ally. From watching Girl Meets World for the first time, it was quite jarring, to be honest with you. There was like a ghost in this Halloween crossover that just enchants Austin and Ally, who live in like a completely non-magical universe, and they just kind of accept that has happened to them and move on with their day. Like it just, this happens because now they're in the Disney Channel cinematic universe where there are no scientific rules apparently. Then Girl Meets World also crosses over with a time travel show called Best Friends Whenever, and 2 best friends, when they hug each other, they can time travel. And in this episode, they also invent the ability to teleport so they can be at this party in New York to be a part of this crossover. Also, this is just like the most confusing one because when we meet the Girl Meets World characters in their episode and they cross over Austin and Ally, you've got the 2 main girls who I can't for the life of me remember the names of, that go into the haunted house in that episode for like a minute in the show, and then they come out and everything's fine. Well, it isn't fine, but it's like as good as fine. But
they're gay? They just said they came out.
Oh, they came out the haunted house.
And
but then in the Best Friends Whenever episode, the Girl Meets World characters inside the haunted house are completely different to the characters that went into the haunted house in the first. There's a character with the main girl from Girl Meets World. This is why I didn't want to talk about shows I've got no experience of ever watching, because I do not know the character names. But she's just with some guy who wasn't in the Girl Meets World episode, but I'm guessing is an established character in the Girl Meets World universe. It doesn't make sense. Who was in the haunted house? Or is it just because the Best Friends Whenever show is a time traveling show, and what they did affected the timeline in the universe so much that when they reversed the events of them going back in time, it never happened and everything different. I don't know. That's a genuine thing that might have happened. If the Best Friends Whenever episode ended with them going back in time making it so they never met to the party, maybe that explains why they met 2 different characters from Girl Meets World in the haunted house, but I just don't get why they were ever in the haunted house in the first place, because they get turned into ghosts while they're at the party, and then they both possess the bodies of the girl and the boy from the Girl Meets World episode so they can hug, go back in time, and then they destroy the teleportation machine that led to them travelling to the Central Park party. Vegard's jaw is just dropped. We then have Liv and Maddie, which I should mention actually had a crossover with Jessie before this Halloween crossover, but Liv and Maddie aren't specifically in that episode, it's just Parker and Joey. However, in the Halloween crossover, Liv and Maddie also cross over with Best Friends Whenever, connecting it to Jessie and Best Friends Whenever. I don't get why Dove Cameron is playing the same character, like 2 characters in this show. These 2 characters didn't share a single scene in the episodes I watched, so maybe that's why, but I don't know. I was really kind of confused by what was going on in that show. There was a popular girl and a nerdy girl, and they were twins, I think, or they were the same person living a double life, potentially. I can't work out why they didn't just hire twins rather than, like, they're just making it hard for themselves. Oh, I haven't seen the show, so maybe this is a really unfair complaint, but... Oh yeah, also, the Jessie episode in this, like, spooktacular thing was actually a really significant episode to, like, the overall lore, I think, because Jessie gets back with Tony, her main love interest, in this specific episode. So it was a very significant episode to include in a massive crossover like this. And it just feels really odd as a crossover because, like, they only ever meet 2 characters from another show in any given episode. So
There's no point where like all 7 shows cross over in one moment and have like a Spider-Man pointing thing. That doesn't happen. It's literally just they will be at the party, and while they're getting on with the main plot of their episode, they will run into 2 characters from another show and have like a really forced conversation that like doesn't really make sense in the given episode. And then you will see another episode where 2 of the characters are also just kind of getting on with the thing they were doing in their episode. And most of it is pretty consistent. Like there's a bit from Casey Undercover where 2 of the characters go to retrieve some like werewolf serum, and then when they meet the characters from Austin and Ally, the guy that accidentally spilt the werewolf serum on himself wanted to eat one of the guys. I think it was Austin because he was wearing a bacon costume. Anyway, yes, I've watched the Halloween Spooktacular. I imagine if you were watching Disney Channel in October 2015 and you were a big fan of a lot of these shows or all of these shows, this is probably a really fun time to be watching Disney Channel and was probably a really fun crossover event. I, unfortunately, was not watching Disney Channel in 2015 because, well, this was me in 2015. I was making YouTube videos. I uploaded a video called Insert Title Here. So if you want to know what I was doing when you were watching these episodes, I have a video for you. I guess this video is too much for Vegard. Okay, let's go. Because with Girl Meets World being in this, the universe gets bigger than just Disney Channel stuff. You see, Girl Meets World is a spin-off to the ABC show from the 90s, Boy Meets World. It's a sequel show, because I'm pretty sure that guy is the boy, right? I don't know why I'm asking you. I have not watched Boy Meets World, nor has Vegard, because we weren't kids in the 90s. So to my knowledge, in the late 90s, there was like a thing on ABC, which is a channel in America, and again, I'm fully basing this off things my comments have told me, called TGIF, which is Thank God It's Friday. And they aired a bunch of sitcoms, which were like teen-based sitcoms, and Boy Meets World was one of the most popular one of these. That is as far as my knowledge on this topic goes. And this gets even more interesting because ABC's TGIF also had its own cinematic universe, connecting it to shows like Teen Angel, You Wish, Step by Step. There are a lot of shows that I have not seen and I'm not going to talk about in much length. For that reason, I'm just going to make a pin for the ABC TGIF universe, which this all apparently connects to. And one of the significant shows in the ABC TGIF at the time was Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which was notably part of the Archie Comics multiverse. So does that mean technically, alongside it connecting to TGIF, also connects to the entire Archie Comics multiverse? Like, Riverdale, is that in there? Everything Archie Comics has ever made? Does that all connect? Is that what we're saying? Also, just staying on the tangent with Girl Meets World, it features Woohoo Punch, which is a fictional drink from the show Victorious, and also iCarly. Does that mean the Disney Channel cinematic universe connects to the Nickelodeon cinematic universe? Because I'm pretty sure they did crossovers too, right? I feel like they did crossovers. I have not looked into it.
That means that Fred is connected to this, which means that every YouTuber in the world is connected.
Do you want to just pin me to the board now?
Yes.
Just like pin my shirt to the board.
Are you sure this is not a real drink?
This is not a real drink. I've looked this up. I don't know if this one's a bit of a stretch, iCarly and Victorious featuring in this, because they share a drinks brand from one of the shows that is in the universe, but
This whole video is a stretch.
But you thought that was a lot? You thought this... Oh my god, I'm not even talking about the ripples we're leaving on the universe. The insanity only just starts here, because while, yes, we've connected it to the ABC TGIF universe and the Archie Comics multiverse and potentially to the Nickelodeon universe, through Boy Meets World, it connects Disney Channel to the Steve Urkel cinematic universe. We're gonna, yeah, Steve Urkel, the man himself. I don't know where you pin that, because he's from Family Matters.
Let's just have him here while we pin the other ones.
Steve Urkel is the main character from Family Matters, at least to my knowledge. He is... Oh, Steve.
He's also dead.
And he mentions Corey Matthews in an episode of Family Matters, confirming that they do in fact exist in the same universe.
I'll send it to my friend Corey Matthews in Philadelphia.
And features in Full House. Also both shows from the 90s that I think are like part of the ABC sitcom universe. I don't really know. But it gets crazier because Steve Urkel appears in Scooby-Doo. Does that connect Scooby-Doo to the cinematic universe. And as you might know, Scooby-Doo is owned by Hanna-Barbera. And Hanna-Barbera cartoons has been doing crossovers since like the early 60s. So does that mean the Flintstones and Yogi Bear are connected to all of this? Does Steve Urkel being in Scooby-Doo connect Wizards of Waverly Place to the Flintstones? Guys, they exist in the same universe and I can prove it. You see, the Flintstones is owned by Hanna-Barbera Cartoons and did multiple crossovers with the likes of Yogi Bear and Scooby-Doo, specifically in their Laugh Olympics show from the 70s, which has multiple episodes crossing over all of them. And then Scooby-Doo has an episode crossing over with Steve Urkel from Full House, and also, and I don't know how I haven't mentioned this yet, has an episode crossing over with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which are both part of the ABC TGIF universe, which connect them to Boy Meets World, which has a sequel show on Disney Channel called Girl Meets World, which has a crossover with Austin Alley, which also has a crossover with Jessie, which has a sequel show of its own called Bunk, which is connected to Raven's Home, which is also a sequel show to That's So Raven, which is connected to Hannah Montana, which is connected to Sweet Love and Cody, which also has a sequel show called Sweet Love and Deck, which is connected to Wizards of Waverly Place. Like, they could have a crossover and you wouldn't be allowed to be shocked about it, because it has already been established they exist in the same universe.
I think we're all connected.
But if we're just sticking with Scooby-Doo, and the newest material from Scooby-Doo, Scoob, has Simon Cowell feature in it. And if we're dealing with Simon Cowell featuring in Scooby-Doo, we can kind of connect it to The Simpsons, because Simon Cowell also appears in The Simpsons.
Does this mean this is the real life?
I just feel like once you've got The Simpsons in there, nothing matters anymore, because they have literally crossed over with everything. Family Guy, Marvel, Billie Eilish, Cristiano Ronaldo, they've done everything. One of the comments quite nicely put, I choose not to think about anything beyond Boy Meets World, and in all honesty, I agree.
And there goes Ursula again.
Steve's gone. I think it gets a little less insane.
I just want to say that Seamus just said that completes the complicated part, and we have 2 piles of paper left. And we're on page 2 out of 4 of his notes.
I'm getting a nosebleed. I connected The Simpsons to Hannah Montana at Wizards of Waverly Place, and it gave me a nosebleed. The Simpsons was just too much for me. Okay, guys, I have no idea where I left off, so we're just gonna have to kind of get back on with it. I think the next section of this video was talking about the Disney Channel shows that I didn't cover in the last episode, that aren't the ones that I've already covered in this one, that also exist. Cory in the House is a spin-off to That's So Raven. So technically, yes, this connects to the cinematic universe. Also, according to the It's a Laugh Productions Wikipedia page, Cory in the House and Hannah Montana did have a crossover, but that crossover was the president from Cory in the House being in a Hannah Montana episode.
So I just had watched that Hannah Montana episode and I was like, yeah, he's not in this.
It's just one character who I'm sure was probably in Cory in the House, but was also there in Hannah Montana.
The other crossover was the stars in the sky.
Yeah, and they also, of course, had the Make-A-Wish Gonna Miss episode. The Make-A-Wish episode. Either way, Cory in the House obviously connects because it's a follow-up to That's So Raven, and therefore connects to That's So Raven because Cory is quite literally in That's So Raven. I don't really know if that changes anyone's life. I feel like that was kind of already established, but there you go. It's in there. It just is. There we go. Oh my God, you did that really nicely. We also have a crossover that I didn't mention in the last episode because, again, another show that I just have never heard of called I'm in the Band. Is my memory just fading here? No, you've not heard of this one either. I think this was on Disney XD.
I don't understand what the point of Disney XD was.
Yeah, I'm still... the only thing I watched on there was Phineas and Ferb. Anyway, I'm in the Band has a crossover with Sweet Life on Deck. And this one's kind of interesting because not only do the I'm on the Band cast go on to the SS Tipton, but it delves into Mr. Mosby's backstory. Apparently he was part of a professional hand slap team and then was abandoned by one of the guys from the band, because the guy from the band decided he didn't want to be part of the hand slap team anymore and became a member of the band so Mr. Mosby's backstory like fully ties into the history of I'm in the Band, further establishing him as one of the most important characters in the cinematic universe, which I wouldn't have any other way. Yeah, that just connects to Sweet Life on Deck.
Only that.
Yeah, that's it. People have requested I make really small connections to shows that have no significance. Here we are.
Also, this guy, he's a secret magician parrot British guy as well.
That is true. This is the thing that surprised me the most, I think. You know the Jonas Brothers? I felt like they were all over Disney Channel for about 10 years. The Jonas Brothers had their own show and only have one connection to this cinematic universe, and that's with Hannah Montana. They have a crossover with Hannah Montana, and that's it. That's the only show the Jonas Brothers appear in.
Wait, no, but they just appear as the Jonas Brothers.
Yes.
Not from their show.
But they are the Jonas Brothers in the show as well.
Yeah.
So I'm counting that as a connection. But yeah, so the Jonas Brothers' first ever appearance on Disney Channel was in a crossover with Hannah Montana, have their own show, and then appear in one movie, or two movies if you count both the Camp Rock movies. That's it. That's their only appearance in the Disney Channel lore. And also, the other show that a lot of people claimed fit in was Ant Farm. And while Ant Farm has no crossover, and I kind of struggled to find a connection, it does mention Z Phones, which is a product from Hannah Montana.
The new Z Phone!
However, I actually did some more digging and found out that there is a bigger connection than the Z Phone. And, okay, no, I need to read this. Mr. Hashimoto, who is a recurring character in Ant Farm, was actually originally from an episode of Sweet Life on Deck. And with that, another show is connected. Well, here we go. Vegard does not want to cover the I'm in the Band logo. He wants to make it very clear that I'm in the Band is still there, but he also wants to get the Ant Farm logo in there. The Ant Farm logo is in the far corner, though, so that is going to be a challenge for him. He's putting it under Wizards of Waverly Place. He's put it on its side a little bit, and it's looking good. He's not covered any of the Jonas Brothers, and he's got the pin in. No way will he do this. Oh my God. You will never see anything like this again. I love that, like, the last section, we're, like, doing mind-blowing revelations of, like, oh my God, The Simpsons and Hanna-Barbera cartoons are connected. This time it's just like, well, Ant Farm's also kind of in there, I guess. Next up, we have Sunny with a Chance, which does not connect to anything. Sunny with a Chance is probably the most confusing Disney Channel show from this era. You'd think, by all accounts, that Sunny with a Chance is connected to the universe, but it's just not. There isn't a crossover. It doesn't have any connections through, like, merchandise or drinks brands or any of that stuff that we've forced connections through earlier. If you're just kind of looking from the outside, you may be deceived in thinking there was a Sunny with a Chance crossover, specifically with That's So Raven, because there's an episode of Sunny with a Chance called That's So Sunny, very clearly starring Raven Simone. But she's not playing Raven Baxter, though. She is just playing, like, Chad's #1 fan in that episode, and the title That's So Sunny is merely a reference to Raven's show, That's So Raven, and isn't a crossover because she isn't actually playing Raven Baxter in the universe. However, with Sunny with a Chance, it just gets more confusing because they made a spin-off show of, like, the show within the show, and I'm not gonna, it's just the weirdest show because it's like SNL. They're trying to make an SNL show, but except it's not live, and in SNL, it's real actors, like, playing characters. On So Random, it's the characters from the show playing characters that are playing characters in the skit spin-off show. And it gets even more confusing when actors from other Disney Channel shows and musicians come on to the show and talk about what they are doing on Disney Channel shows. So, like, for example, Bridget Mendler comes on the show as Bridget Mendler. She talks about her time on Lemonade Mouth. She talks about her time on Good Luck Charlie. Fully just, like, self-aware that she is an actress playing characters in the Disney Channel universe. But that also means that Sunny with a Chance is kind of connected to Good Luck Charlie. But
Charlie, this is why you should never go on a talk show called Talking to Girls with Chester McFowler, no matter how much his father pays you.
But it's not. However, then there's, like, an episode where the Muppets appear in it, and it gets really confusing here because the Muppets also appear in Good Luck Charlie, in a dream sequence, albeit. And I'm just, I don't know how that works, but we're just connecting all of that now. Sunny with a Chance made it in because a dream sequence in Good Luck Charlie, a show that is referenced in So Random, connects the Muppets to the Sunny with a Chance universe.
I just need to make sure that we're not confused.
Oh, the Jonas Brothers is not connected.
Let's be clear, the Jonas Brothers is connected, but it is through here, which goes here, and then past, and then up, and then around in a zigzag down, and And sorry, wait, where's the
Sweet
connection?
Life of Death.
No, wait,
No,
back.
Hannah Montana, sorry, yeah.
There we go.
So the Jonas Brothers Muppets crossover, which actually, if something like that came out, I wouldn't even be that shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if a Jonas Brothers Muppets crossover already exists. The Jonas Brothers have collabed with Joe Biden. Like, if they haven't collabed with the Muppets yet, what are they doing? Can we get like a quick fact check on that? Yeah, they've done it. They've done it. I thought so. Long story short, I found a way to get Sunny with a Chance in there. Like, I feel like Sunny with a Chance to be connected to the Muppets.
You just said long story short. I don't think anything about that was short. Sorry.
So the next show of note, and I'm just going to go through these in a kind of quick fire round, is Zeke and Luther. I don't know if you've ever heard of Zeke and Luther. I, for one, have not ever heard of Zeke and Luther, but it is a show that exists, and it is connected to both Pair of Kings and Kickin' It through crossovers where a guy called Dale Davis, who was a character on Zeke and Luther, appeared in both Pair of Kings and Kickin' It. I'm not sure we have enough room on the board, but
These exist.
but do not connect to the overall board.
We can go.
I spent 35p per piece of paper I printed, so you just threw like £1 on the floor there. We also then have the small superhero cinematic universe within the Disney Channel universe, which also doesn't connect to anything, but contains Mighty Med and Lab Rats. I've watched one episode of both of these shows being their crossover episodes. Mighty Med is a show about superhero medics who like take care and like look after superheroes in a superhero hospital. And Lab Rats is a show about bionic superheroes where they give regular people superpowers with like tech to be superhero. And they have a crossover together as well. And they're like existing in the same universe. But again, does not connect to the overall shows. The only thing these shows and the last 3 shows I just mentioned have in common with the rest of this is that they have some of the same actors, but they don't connect to the main universe. So somehow we managed to get the Muppets in, but we couldn't find a way to get Mighty Med and Lab Rats in there. More paper just wasted. And yeah, I watched that entire Lab Rats Mighty Med crossover, which was like nearly an hour long, and it doesn't even connect. Does that matter? I watched it for fun, which brings us on to the final section of this video, because a lot of people commented about how animated crossovers also exist in universe. So for example, Phineas and Ferb has a massive crossover with the Ultimate Spider-Man and Marvel's Avengers Assemble. So I've never actually watched an episode of Ultimate Spider-Man or Marvel's Avengers Assemble before, but it seemed pretty fun. It just kind of seems like the characters from the Marvel movies in animated, more like childish form. It was fun. And obviously, because it's Marvel and we're living in the 2020s, or I guess this came out in the 2010s, everything has to be connected. Which also now includes Phineas and Ferb, despite the animation style being kind of different.
Man, that kid's got a weird-shaped head.
And I'm not gonna lie, I thought this crossover was pretty fun. I watched it, and I had a fun time. Phineas and Ferb have like an Iron Man suit just locked up in their garage. Apparently, that seems like a perfect addition to the canon. Tony Stark tried to offer them an internship. Perry is like working under Nick Fury. Dr. Doofenshmirtz has a team up with all the villains like Venom and Red Skull. I thought this was cool. And while you might think that's kind of meaningless right now because, yeah, these shows are all connected, but it doesn't connect to the wider cinematic universe, well, let me bring your attention to the Ultimate Spider-Man and Jesse crossover. This is a real thing that exists. They animated the Jesse characters for an entire episode and just included them in an Ultimate Spider-Man. And they don't even address that it's a crossover at any point. It's just like there are animated Jesse characters walking around this museum. Spider-Man shows up and they just team up to take down a museum it's basically Night at the Museum. So I guess that creates a connection between the Ultimate Spider-Man and Jesse. I don't know if I hyped that up enough. The Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers Assemble cartoon shows are connected to this entire cinematic universe, the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, to iCarly, apparently. And because of the multiverse across the Marvel Cinematic Universe and pretty much everything here, like, the multiverse is open now, which means, technically speaking, all Marvel shows are connected to the MCU through the multiverse, and the Ultimate Spider-Man is connected to this cinematic universe, meaning this entire universe is connected to the MCU. That means Zendaya now appears in this 3 times as Casey Undercover, whoever her character is in Shake It Up, and Michelle Jones in Spider-Man from the MCU. Jessie could appear through a portal in the MCU, and we wouldn't be allowed to question it. Actually, Jessie's probably too obvious. She's already like established in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. Everyone would be like, yeah, of course Jessie's there. Shaggy from Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed could walk in through a portal in an MCU movie, and you wouldn't be allowed to question it. Oh my God, I didn't even think of this. I should have printed another thing. Scooby-Doo connects to the DC universe. And I completely forgot about this until now. But technically, this connects to the DC universe, meaning the DC universe and the Marvel... My camera rudely cut me off there. What I was trying to say is the DC expanded universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe are connected through this long... Yes, that is a thing that now exists. I still can't believe they did like such a nonchalant crossover. It's just like accepted that the universe that Spider-Man is saving New York in is also just the universe Jessie exists in New York. But like, then why did the cast of Jessie never mention Spider-Man then? If Spider-Man's out there saving New York and the Avengers also exist in this same universe, why are they not talking about this when the world is under threat from Thanos? Why is this not being spoken about by all of these people? If the universe is like gonna get destroyed any given week, you'd think that the girls from Best Friends Whenever might help with their time traveling. Maybe they go up to Tony Stark and like, oh, we can time travel, by the way, Tony. Or what about the Wizards of Waverly Place? What were the Wizards of Waverly Place doing when Galactus tried to take over the universe? Which is something I'm guessing probably happened in the show, because I haven't watched it. And I'm pretty sure comics would have been referenced in one of these shows. And these superheroes would have been fictional in these shows. And they have just not addressed that correctly, in my opinion. Also, does this mean that when The Simpsons reference the MCU in one of their like shorts or main episodes, that it's canon to the MCU that this is happening? Like, is the Loki episode of The Simpsons an actual Loki variant in the How did the MCU get in here? It also just raises the question, and this is something we were talking about the other day. Disney are really afraid to connect Star Wars to anything. And I'm pretty sure a lot of these shows reference Star Wars as a thing that exists, as like a fictional thing. But they are terrified to just like do a crossover with Star Wars. I couldn't get a connection to Star Wars, is what I'm trying to say. And I really tried.
Wait, you tried to find a Star Wars connection?
I did try, but there's nothing.
There is.
To what?
Family Guy, then The Simpsons. Because Family Guy becomes 2 Star Wars episodes.
But it's not canon to the Star Wars universe, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas Ultimate Spider-Man could appear in the MCU, and the events of the Ultimate Spider-Man would then be canon to the MCU, of which Jessie appears in. So it's not like a canon. Like, if you look at the Star Wars universe, it's not canon to the universe. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but that's why I'm like, they're very afraid to affect Star Wars canon.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
And I didn't even mention it. Phineas and Ferb then exist in this universe. What are these two? Canonically, like just the greatest inventors of all time. And if you didn't think that was enough, there's a short show that Disney made, and I watched every episode of this show in research for this video, called Random Rings, where mostly characters from the show called Big City Greens call up other characters from Big City Greens, but on occasions, they will call characters from other shows. And so, for example, there's an episode where Cricket Green is on the phone with Heinz Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb, meaning Big City Greens is also then connected to Phineas and Ferb in this big cinematic universe. And then there's another episode where Cricket has a call with Launchpad from DuckTales, so I guess DuckTales is connected to all of this. And then Launchpad from DuckTales has a call with Baymax. Big Hero 6 connects to all of this. And you know what Big Hero 6 also has in its universe? Stan Lee. Meaning Big Hero 6, I guess, is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And you know, I'm okay with that. This is probably the one good thing to have come out of this video. And I think the thing that I find craziest about all of this is connected to this Disney Channel Cinematic Universe. But you know where they drew the line? You know what they thought would be a bit strange to include in the Disney Channel Cinematic Universe, which also connects the MCU and DCEU and Simpsons and pretty much everything, apparently. The Disney Channel movies. Anytime the Disney Channel movies are referenced in this universe, they are referenced as fictional things. So, for example, again, in the Big City Greens Random Rings show, Zombies is referenced multiple times because they have actors from Zombies on the show, but it's very clearly referenced that they are actors in Zombies.
Look, I just think you Disney stars are so cool, and I thought you'd only want to be my friend if I lied to you and pretended to be your Zombro.
And it's the same with High School Musical. There's an episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody where they reference High School Musical. They're doing a High School Musical play. Firstly, There are 4 jokes made about how Maddie looks like Sharpay. And all of them have the same punchline where Maddie says, yeah, people tell me I look like Sharpay.
Really? I don't see it. Really? I don't see it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
And I don't look like Ashley Tisdale?
But again, it's a fictional show. They name drop Zac Efron and Ashley Tisdale, who is an actress in Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, in this episode of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody as actors from High School Musical. I think I've got it. I think I've worked it out, okay? So basically, this is a cinematic universe, okay? All of these shows exist in the same world. And the movies that exist in their world, the movies that come out to cinemas, the big movies, like the classic movies, are the Disney Channel original movies. They see DCOMs the way we see Star Wars. I think that's it. I think I cracked it. There's also a bunch more crossovers with some of the animated shows, like Lilo and Stitch is connected to Recess and Kim Possible, but doesn't actually connect to this because none of those shows connect. And there's also like the Aladdin Hercules crossover in the Hercules show. I don't think it connects to it. Maybe it does. Maybe someone will tell me it connects through The Simpsons or something. Everything connects through The Simpsons in one way or another. And yeah, I hope my second consecutive month of watching Disney Channel crossovers was worth it and you are satisfied with this. Also, I have a challenge for you. I noticed Zendaya appears in this as 3 different characters. If you can find an actor that appears in this more than 3 times as 3 different characters, then I will give you money. No, I won't, but please let me know in the comments. Special thank you to Kayla, Anna, Chase, Franzi, Jacob, Natalie, Aneshka, Caitlin, Jordan, Grace, Reed, Jonathan, Ben, another Jacob, Victoria, and Will for supporting me on Patreon. If you also want to check out my Patreon, you can check it out, link in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more conspiracy board cinematic universe videos, this is a type of video that I can make, please leave a like and subscribe and watch another video and check out my Patreon that I just mentioned in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to go sleep for a week.